Hello, happy to welcome you out to another episode of Water Hybrid Systems. Today we're going to be talking about a few of the items that we covered last time, just a recap, and we'll be getting into some of the interesting information that we would like to pass on about how to install these systems in your cars and the types of installation procedures that you need to follow, as well as different things you might be looking for as you decide you're going to put these kind of systems in your cars. One of the things that we talked about last time is the emergent need that people are seeing for some kind of relief from the impending price gouging that we seem to be getting from the gas producing companies. Technology that I found out about and we've been working on developing for people to use here in the Hawaiian Islands, specifically here on the island of Oahu and in the Honolulu area. And we've been installing our system in many of the cars in this area, and we're having good results with a lot of them as well. And today we decided we would come in and we're going to talk a little bit about how the system works briefly, and some of the components that are in the system, and also some of the expectations that people can get. Now, I would like to take a look real quick. This is our standard size unit, and basically it holds about 18 ounces of water. And we put distilled water in here with a catalyst. We recommend citric acid, but many people are using things like baking soda, and there's some others. Citric acid is the one that we recommend, and you can use any kind of wine grade citric acid in small amounts in the system. And I'll go into a little bit more detail in a few minutes about how to put the citric acid in there and what kind of results to expect. But after we put that in the canister, we'll put this electrode, this metal electrode here, which is charged, will go inside the canister, and this is installed, and we'll talk about the install procedure in greater detail in a few minutes. It's installed in your car, and we send through this electrical wire a charge into the canister, and that charge causes the water molecule to split into its component parts, hydrogen and oxygen. Now, as a result of that, the hydrogen and oxygen is sucked into the engine, and it combines with the fuel in the engine and gives the engine a gas mileage increase, and with that we are able to see, in many cases, dramatically better gas mileage for a relatively low cost to people. So we're able to actually help people, and there's a lot of different systems that are out there. A lot of people are asking questions: how do these systems work, what is the science behind them, things like that. And we're going to go over a few of those questions today. And fellas, feel free to chime in about anything that we're talking about that you think you can contribute.
Just one quick question. You said this held 18 ounces. How about these two?
Yeah, this one holds 27 ounces. This one holds 40 ounces. The primary difference between the three units is not just the size, but with that added surface area and volume, they're able to produce more of the hydroxy gas. And as we talk about that today, we'll be discussing the hydroxy gas. And hydroxy gas is basically when the hydrogen molecule, or the hydrogen atom and the oxygen atom, become stabilized and ionized. They form into a gas state in which they will stay in that state until they enter into the combustion chamber. And we'll talk about that in a minute as we look at the chart in just a couple of minutes. Go ahead.
Could you spend a couple of moments and describe the unit, what it's made of, what are the components on the cab, what they're used for, what they get attached to, and so on and so forth, please?
Absolutely, I'm happy to do that. On our system, and there's a variety of systems out there that you can look at, but on our system specifically, we have this electrical line that brings in the current that goes through the rod in the center, and then the outside surface of the canister and the inside surface are stainless steel. It's basically a stainless steel container, and that acts as the ground in the system. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when we go up to the chart in a minute. And then on top of it, we have this little thing we call a bubbler, and this right here is where we attach the vacuum to the system. Now, as you're taking a look at this, you're going to see on the top of the unit there's a green light a little green diode. And when this is installed in anyone's car, your car, when the system is turned on, this green light will come on. And then this, out of this port right here, I don't know if they can get a close-up of that, but out of this port right here, we will attach it to the vacuum system in your car, and the hydroxy gas will be drawn into the chamber of your car. This port right here is an auxiliary port, and it just has a cap on it. We take that cap off, and we are able to put a secondary reservoir tank so that the tank can keep this thing full. You don't have to fill it up quite so often. And it allows you to run many more miles without having to refill the canister. Now, as a result of that, I'm betting one of the questions that you're going to ask me is, how often do you have to refill the canister?
That would be a nice question.
And that's going to depend on the size of the unit that's in your car. One, the 40 ounce needs to be refilled many fewer times versus the other sizes canisters. And also the size and volume of the engine. So for example, this canister is going to be very effective in a 4-cylinder or even a 6-cylinder engine. This canister right here is going to be good in some of the more performance 6-cylinders and regular 8-cylinder cars, even like your trucks, 8-cylinder trucks. And this one would be more appropriate for more industrial type purposes. Okay?
Do the systems detect when they need to be refilled?
That's the great thing about it. I brought along today to talk about, we have this, just this little unit that we put into the interior of your car on the dash. It's a small, unobtrusive box, and we'll put it wherever you would like. Or some companies offer some different options. This is one that you can use. With our system, you can turn the system off and on with this little switch, and it has a little diode. And then you see this little red diode right here. When the system becomes low, this diode will come on the dash, and you'll be able to, be alerted to when you need to change that. So.
How does the box know when it's low?
In fact, what happens is through the wiring system that we do, and we're going to go into some greater detail over that, is connected to this float right here on the unit. And when the water gets low, this float drops down and it sends a current to the box on this light. And on the light, when the light comes on, you know that the unit is low. So that's how that works.
I see.
And this is the wiring system that our system is similar to almost any of the people, and some people are actually making similar systems to this right in their own garage. And a lot of the information that we're going to be giving today should help people who are making their own systems have a good idea of how to install them in their car and the ways in which they can get an effective get good effective use out of the system and actually get benefit from the system. And I will tell you that in the case of our system and anybody else's system out there, if they're not installed correctly, and if they are not, there's not, you just can't install these things ignorantly. Let's put it that way. You need to do a little research, make sure that you put them in right, do it correctly, and that you're able to follow a strategy to getting good results. So normally what will happen is people will put them in their cars and they won't completely understand how the system works or how their car works or if their car has problems or things like that. And as a result of that, they won't get the kind of results that they hope that they're going to get. And the last thing we would want to do is discourage people from even making their own system, putting their own system in. But just be careful, go out there and do some research and discover what you can about these systems and work with them and learn how to put this in and max